Welcome back to the Puzzle Minds podcast, where we help piece together those 2 a.m. thoughts. It feels like it's been a month, and I think it has been a month since we've done another episode. So it does feel good to be back.
I'm gonna be that hit him with a dad joke. I haven't seen you guys since last year.
I think with that, we might just have to end it because that was definitely
And we're
a
canceled.
dad. Yeah, that was definitely a dad joke. But I give you an A for effort for trying. Um, Today we'll be talking about the shitstorm 2020 and how what really happened during this unforgettable year. I don't think anyone that has lived through this is going to forget about this year. It's just going to stick
Yeah,
out. So
dude. The first thing I thought about 2020 when I thought about how crazy it was is that everyone thought that 2012 was gonna be the pinnacle of, craziness. They even made a
the
movie about it.
mines.
Yeah, remember the Mayans were like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
like that's it." The giant tornado is gonna come through and destroy New York, and tidal waves are gonna destroy all of Florida. Like
Mhm.
all that. And I thought, like, okay, in terms of like back to back things happening, nothing can beat 2012. And then 2020 started, and 2020 basically was a Michael Bay movie on acid that was having a extramarital affair with a Quentin Tarantino movie. It was just fucking
Mhm.
nonsense.
That's a
It got
really
to a
good way to
point.
put that.
Didn't it feel like we built a tolerance now of like what we can withstand? Like in terms of nothing really surprises me anymore. Like it's not like I don't have the emotions for things. Like if something sad happens, I am really sad. If something
Mhm.
crazy happens, I am shocked. But in terms of what makes me really sad, has definitely I have a tolerance towards it now. Like someone dies, I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like it's not really like crazy anymore. Where I remember the
Yeah.
biggest celebrity death that even remotely affected me, and like, and when I say affect, I use this very loosely, was Paul Walker prior to Kobe Bryant. I remember like, oh God, Paul
Yeah.
Walker, fuck man, I loved Fast and Furious. Like, I remember how I was kind of shocked by it because that's a person that I guess influenced me in terms of an entertainment level. So I was sad
Mhm.
to see him go, knowing that I'm no longer going to be able to, see him in the context in which I love him in.
Yeah.
But Kobe was just, it was the way he went and just the fact that he just, had someone that was such a cultural icon went
Mhm.
out so violently.
Yeah. So the Paul Walker thing, I mean, I liked his movies, but respectfully, like his death wasn't as impactful to me, or
Yeah.
as I guess as other people's were. And
Hmm.
Kobe was kind of like the same thing to me. Like I respected like what he did for basketball and stuff like that, and the
Hmm.
way that he went was tragic. His daughter. What was his daughter's name?
I forgot which one of them was involved in the helicopter accident,
Okay.
but
Well,
yeah, I
anyway,
believe it's the youngest one though.
yeah. So his daughter and him, they had passed away in a in a in a airplane crash, and so when I remember, I always say this, I remember like it was yesterday because I remember
Mm.
when that story came out, everyone was just like, "Nah, that's some TMZ bullshit. Like
Yeah.
no one's gonna." Like that can't be true. Like no one's verified
Hmm.
it. And then as the day went on, people were like, it's confirmed that he is gone, and everyone's like, holy shit! Like he was, I don't even know how old he was, maybe 50-ish. I don't know, pulling that out of my ass, but like he was
And it was
relatively
because
young.
of how, yeah, and also it was because of how he went too, man. Like
Yeah.
the way that he went was just so it it happened abruptly, and also it just the odds of that happening. I
Yeah.
understand that helicopters are a dangerous vehicle, and you never really think about the fact that you're traveling in some kind of like vessel that's flying thousands and thousands of feet above the ground and all that stuff. But the way he went was the most violent possible way to go in that vehicle. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the part that was so shocking to me, where you just think about, I guess not to get into too much into detail, but just the gratitude of realizing that, like, man, can you imagine what he thought? Like, as the plane was going down, he probably thought this is impossible. And then think about the fact that he's with his youngest daughter, and just it was just a routine flight too. I think he was going to like some basketball
Charity
tournament where he was
event or
going to
something like
get some
that.
charity
Yeah.
event or something like that. Yeah, and it wasn't like just going to some offshore island, like in Costa Rica and all. And it was so dangerous. It was a route. It's something that he's done 100 times over, right?
Yeah.
And then today was just his day.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
that day
yeah.
was just his day. And that's the part that I couldn't believe because I actually did find out because of TMZ. Funny thing about it,
Mm.
because I typically don't go on TMZ, but every now and then I'm just like, yeah, let me just know what's going on in the world, like pop
Yeah,
culture wise. I just want to know. I don't know. I just how I like, I guess not get too old where I'm like, who's this Kanye West guy again? Like I just go on TMZ, update
yeah.
myself on all the nonsense, and then stay off it for like another year. But
Mm.
this particular day when I went on TMZ, that was the first thing I saw. I was like, no way. That's literally my phone. I was like, no way.
Yeah,
And then I saw it reported on Yahoo. I'm like, oh shit. Then I saw it on CNN. I was like, oh shit. Now
yeah.
this and it took my brain time to catch up the fact that this is it.
Mhm.
And it just was unfortunate.
Yeah, so that kind of reminds me of like the Kim Jong Un death rumors, and
Oh,
so you remember that. So like when
yeah,
that
yeah.
came out, everyone was just, I think for the most part, as bad as it sounds, like everyone was like,
Everyone's excited. Fuck that guy.
yeah, everyone's excited that like he
He's a
passed away,
tyrant. Yeah,
and
he's a tyrant. Didn't it turn out to be a ploy to like I guess
just
weed out some of the people that were like potentially coup members, I guess, amongst his
yeah,
party?
it's kind of a genius way to see who are like kind of the snakes within your circle, I guess, and you kind of say like,
It
oh, he
100%.
passed
Yep.
away, and then you see who tries to reach for that power.
Reach for
But
that power or even celebrates and stuff
yeah,
like that
yeah, yeah,
because
I
you,
guarantee you he had like
the way
eyes all around just trying to like see who was just like cheering
who
on, like, oh fuck yeah, dude, he's dead,
yeah
let's seize it. But the funny thing is, I remember when that was announced that there was rumors that his sister was going to take the mantle, and I don't. I
yeah I
mean,
heard about
I
that.
don't keep up with
That's
like.
just potentially worse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard that she was like potentially worse, and I was like, oh shit. So
Mm-hmm.
let's kind of like take that back for a second. Like, if we get someone who's worse in terms of like being a dictator than Kim Jong Un, then like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, that's not a good thing to have. You know what I'm
and
saying?
and I don't even know how someone could be worse than him because what he's done with North Korea is essentially he's mentally neutered an entire country of people.
Mm,
Won't allow people to leave. People are shot for attempting to flee for their lives. Like I saw a video actually 2 days ago of a
mm,
man who was running from the like he stole a North Korean military vehicle like one of those Jeep like vehicles and drove it all the way to the border of South Korea and was obviously being chased by the North Korean authorities. Then I crashed it and then said fuck it and just ran, sprinted, and this is all on camera too. When he from the point of him crashing his car and
mm.
sprints to that North Korean border. And I think it's that famous border
I
where
think
it's
so.
like there's like that little like almost like little
Blue. It's like a
building
blue
where
hut or like a,
yeah
yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
it's like a famous hut where essentially the North Korean military and South Korean military whenever they have like talkings they meet there and all that crap. But anyway, this guy makes a mad dash for it and they obviously North Koreans are just lighting him up like a fucking movie, just do, 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 do. And this dude makes it, and the South Korean guards grab him and they're running, they're dodging bullets. Still, I'm like, how bad do you run a country, and how desperate do you have to make people to be like he didn't give a damn. He was like, I have to leave. No
Mm,
plan, just like left everything. This man probably had, and how the North Koreans work is that if you get away and you have family, they'll punish your family, put you in what they call work camp. And
mm,
that's the sad thing about it, where it's like Kim Jong Un is just like, we talk about how you have people that go down as like the word evil, like evil, right? Evil is a word that we never really talk about what qualifies someone as evil. But there are some people on this planet that are just universally bad, and that's the word I like to use because I think evil is a bit cliche, it's a bit dramatic. Like we haven't had a real evil person since
Hitler.
like Hitler. I would say Hitler and Hitler. We've had people that have had some terrible things. We have some people that have
Mm,
gone from good to bad, but all around evil just means from the start you showed up to like the
mm,
end, you were terrible, right?
mm.
That's my definition of it.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes
So
sense.
Kim Jong Un, evil dude. Start from
Mm,
the start, bad start, ugly fucking piece of shit kind of guy, just living, profiting off the misery of his people,
yeah.
and until his end, right?
Hmm.
So that's the kind of crazy thing. So when I heard about his death, I was celebrating. I was like, yes, fuck this guy. Like this guy needs to go because I think of the millions of people in that country that are gonna have better lives as a result of his potential passing. But he hit us with that M. Night Shyamalan plot twist. It's
I
like,
know.
psych, I'm alive. You know?
Yeah. No, yeah. I don't know. That whole thing was very weird to go through because I was like, man, like what's gonna happen now? Like, do I need to like fear for my
Mhm.
safety and all that shit? But I mean, at the
What did you say against Kim Jong Un? You're like, why are you fearing for your
no,
safety?
no,
You
I
got
think it's
something
just
to
more
tell us,
so.
John?
No. I'm a fan of Korean people. My wife is
He's
Korean,
a
so
he's a
um
secret North Korean defector. He's just putting on this accent. The second he gets off the mic, actual accent, everything comes out.
no. But speaking of pieces of shit, do you remember when there was like a toilet paper shortage? Um,
Ooh, I remember those. I remember
yeah.
that. That
So
was the yeah.
that
That was almost
was
when I thought the apocalypse was actually happening. For a minute, I did.
yeah, I want to say it was like March. And the weird thing is, people were like, I remember, so I go to Costco for a lot of my shit. Shout out to Costco.
Okay.
And so Costco has like these like let me look, it's like 18 rolls or 30 rolls, whatever the hell it is.
Hmm.
And so, you know, when it first started, it wasn't like people were just like, hey, we should probably get it because we might not be able to go out, so let's just let's get one, and
Yeah.
then we don't have to go outside and expose ourselves to each other. And
Hmm.
then as this thing like progressed, for whatever reason, people started like selling out of these toilet papers, and I can't remember who had mentioned this, and it might have been a comedian, but the way that the um, grocery stores are like set up, the toilet paper
Hmm.
holds such a huge space in terms of relative to like beans
Wait, Costco setup or just in
or in
general?
well both
Grocery stores.
more so
Okay.
Costco. It's kind of like amplified, but more so
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
the way that like toilet paper and stuff like that are like they're such a big commodity versus like beans or like small bags of rice. When you put
Yeah.
like 5 or 10 toilet papers in there, they hold such a bigger space that if only 10 people take them, it looks like it's gone. So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
psychological thing where it's just like, oh shit, like there's no more toilet paper. But in actuality,
Oh, so are you saying like the media kind of was like basically being dramatic about the toilet paper craze
well,
by taking
that and
advantage of that
also,
little optical
yeah,
illusion?
yeah. I would say that was a majority of it, but also like the psychological thing of like, holy shit, like this is gone. But if you were to put all the toilet paper back in, like, was it really that much? I mean, obviously it was enough to like maybe serve 30, 40 people, but
I think it was the I think it was the reason why. I think what like going back to what you were saying before about people just stockpiling on it because they're like, it was before it was because of social distancing, right? People
yeah.
are like, we don't have to go out and potentially catch this virus.
Hmm.
And then people were like buying a lot. And then it switched to, oh my goodness, we're not going to be able to, wipe our asses, and
Hmm.
it became a selfish. So it went from basically being like people were thinking actually very selfless, like we don't want to get sick or potentially catch it, to I don't want to. I don't know if I'm going to have enough. So it became a very selfish, reason why people started hoarding it, and that was the part that was kind of crazy, where it showed like the darker side of human nature, where people
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like, well, that part about horror movies and movies you see, like whether it's Resident Evil or like the video game Last of Us or Walking Dead, human beings at the end of the day, you truly see what somebody's made of when they're pushed into a corner and desperateness comes out, right? And that's what we started seeing, like some ugliness of the human, like of humans. We
Hmm.
saw that, like at the end of the day, people were stockpiling, like basically, some people were buying toilet paper and then upselling it, like for
Oh,
hundreds
what
of
do you
dollars
what
on
do you call it?
eBay and all that stuff, and like people are profiting off of that.
Yeah.
They're not scalpers, are they? Is that the term for
Scalp.
scalpers, or is that for something else?
Maybe. No. Well, when I hear scalping, I think of tickets. I don't know what
Yeah,
the word,
like because that's
but
typically what they do. Someone that
yeah,
acquires something and then upsells it because
yeah.
of the high demand for it. I
I'll
don't know
have
if
to
that's
look it up
scalping, but
later.
anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess people didn't want to
Hmm.
like use leaves or scoop poop out their ass, whatever the hell it was. I guess there was like a
Yeah.
um, kind of like a notion that like, hey, like toilet paper is probably the most important thing, but like
Hmm.
throughout this whole thing, and it's partly due to that also, but like I've been
Hmm.
wanting a bidet, and
Yeah.
like I don't know, it's just less toilet paper that I have to worry about, and I don't have to fucking worry
And it
about just
properly cleans your ass.
yeah. There's
Europeans have been living in the year 3000 for a while.
Yeah, we'll
Europeans and
see.
Japanese.
There's a company called Tushy, and they have this like really
Mm-hmm.
really good advertisement, and it was this girl. She was like her mom told her to wash the dishes, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like gravy all over the fucking pan and all that stuff, and she's wiping it without water with just a paper towel, and she's like, oh, like,
Yeah.
why are you not washing with water? And she's like, oh, well, we don't wipe our asses with water or clean our asses with water, and this is
Yeah.
less sanitary or more sanitary, yeah,
Yeah.
than poop. And so she's like, oh shit, well, I guess that makes sense, but still use water. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, like that actually makes sense. Like, I mean, all we're doing is just smearing poop. And so I thought about this. I was like, do you think we still have like poop from like five days ago or a year ago, like in our ass because we're just smearing it?
It depends on the wiping technique. I'm a big advocate of
Mm,
wiping techniques, and I know that I'm a what I call a scooper. Scoop. Basically, okay, this is about to get pretty gross for our listeners. I apologize. You're starting your year off about hearing how someone cleans their asshole, but it is what it is. But essentially, I know, like, I know what you were saying. That some people, like, you would have to worry about that if you're just essentially just taking whatever tissue or wipe,
mm,
pressing against your ass, and then just pushing down or up. Right? You're just
yeah,
steering it in that direction, up or down.
it's like
But if
compacting
you
soil.
scoop,
That's what it's kind of like.
essentially, in my head, I think that you, yeah, exactly. You're pushing it down if you're just flat, if you're just pushing. But the scoop technique, which I don't think I invented, but I just feel like it's clean, is essentially you're lifting the shit off your butthole. That's how I imagine. That's why I scoop.
Mm,
Then once you feel like you've scooped enough, then you press, where essentially you're almost pressing into your butthole to make sure that you get any remnants that got caught in the passageway of exiting your butthole. And that's
yeah.
the most clean way I think to clean your ass, rather than some of these people that is basically, like you said, smear shit all over their body and just be like, all right, I'm good to go.
Yeah. So
So, but ultimately a bidet is probably the cleanest way because you're just completely wiping shit
yeah.
off your body completely. But
Do you have one?
no, I have had one though before when I used to live
Mm,
in Belgium actually as a kid.
yeah.
I remember the house I lived in
Oh,
had a bidet, and I didn't. I remember like I used it a bunch. I got so accustomed to using it. The funny thing about it, once I left Europe and came to the U.S., it wasn't like it was a hard transition. Like, oh my goodness, I don't have a bidet anymore. But I did notice like I felt less clean. Like
mm,
when I used to clean myself, it used to be like I felt really clean. Like there was nothing better than basically, like, like the whole process people say, shit, shower, shave, right? You take a
shit,
shit and
shower, shave. Okay.
shit. So you shit. The reason why you never do it opposite, the reason why you don't shower, shave, shit is because essentially it's like you shit and then you're still technically kind of dirty, like we're talking about, like you got maybe
Yeah.
doo doo on yourself or whatever. The
Uh-huh.
shower should get rid of the remnants, and then the bidet really doubles down just in case you're not one of those people that wipes their between their butt cheeks in the shower,
Uh,
and then you call it a day. And the shave is just icing on the cake, so you look good. You do after it, just you just feel less clean. And I am going to be 30 in 2 months, so I spent almost 2 decades, but 2 decades with that mindset, and it's never changed. And if every single time I do it out of order, I feel disgusting.
so wait, so I'm curious now because I just thought about it because you had said so like when you clean your
Mm.
asshole like in the shower, like how do you do it? Not you, but just in general, like how do you clean your ass? You like just put the spout on your ass?
I would no, I do how I do it is I take so wash your whole body, and
Yeah.
then I take body wash, spray a bunch of body wash into my hand, body wash, soap or whatever, and then I wipe between my ass cheeks. So my hand will go in between my ass cheeks. So yes,
Uh,
but this is after like I've cleaned myself, because I personally think that you can never really get everything when you
yeah.
just wipe. So I
Uh-huh.
just double down, because sometimes it's not just doo doo; it's just like sweat
Mm,
or just whatever can
yeah.
develop. You know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's how
yeah.
I personally double down. But I don't know
Mm.
why this episode turned into how we clean our assholes. But
Well, that'll be a good poll question.
how
How do you
how do you
clean
clean your
yourself?
assholes, people?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us in grave detail, like we
Yeah.
just did for you.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's see. Moving on. What else kind of transpired in 2020 that was a thing of note? I think. Oh wait, I have actually a good one. Do you remember at one point where we at one? I don't know if you remember. Remember this? This wasn't like a. I don't want to say it wasn't like a big, like a super big thing,
Mhm.
but Jeff Bezos got divorced from his wife.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And then this man is so rich. I believe the divorce. He's just heard today that he just got by Elon Musk.
Yeah, he got
But
dethroned by
so Elon Musk
Papa.
officially is the richest man in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, he got
but
dethroned.
yeah, yeah. But basically, this man made by divorcing a person made that woman like the third richest woman in the world now, just by divorcing her. That's crazy. How
Mm.
much money someone can have, and
How
it made us start thinking about why are we allowing people to be this rich?
how how much did she get? It was like 30 billion or something like that.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't even know the figure. It was something absurd billion to the point where she wasn't even mad about the divorce. She was probably happy. She was just
Let
like,
me
and
see.
it's a wild, it's a very rare thing that basically Bezos was cheating on her with like one of his friends' wives, and the funny thing about it is that now he's dating her. Like he didn't even like try to hide it. He's like, oh, all right, just
Mm,
divorced her, gave her 30 whatever billion, and then called it a day. She would, you know how rich you have to make a person for her not to be mad that you cheat? Like you basically wasted how many years they were married on infidelity and all that crap. And she was like,
mm.
okay, cool. That's the only time I've ever seen no bitterness. She's like, all right, cool. Just give me my money and I'm out.
Well, I think she got like $38 billion.
I mean, who cares how much the specific number? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's 30 billion or 20 billion. It's a billion. Once you get into the billion, the B's, bro, it's just your life is like you get what I'm calling boring money now. People always think millions are fun money. So I have this theory that the reason why there's a difference between millions fun money, billions boring money. And the difference between the two is that billions, you're good for life. You have no worries. You can be reckless and irresponsible for however much you want to be, and you're still good. Millions, you can't really.
Mm.
You can still lose that money, which makes it fun. In the sense of like you're not trying to lose it, but that risk of losing it makes it entertaining and it also keeps
Yeah.
you more invested in maintaining it versus billions. That's why billionaires are not trying to get more billions. Billionaires basically are trying to now leave an impact to become immortal and culturally influential. They're not worried about the money anymore. Millionaires are still worried about getting more rich.
Yeah, because I think the difference, like someone had, there was a video that I saw online where it would take them like they essentially made like you make like a certain amount per year, and it would
Mm-hmm.
take you like 400 years to become a billionaire if you were a millionaire, something like that. But it was just really like it put the perspective of like millions to billions in like into
Mm-hmm.
perspective. And you're like, damn, like that's really a long time. Like that's a lot of money. Like no one, like to the average person, like a billion is just a number. It's just like what, uh,
It's something that's like barely
six or nine,
quantifiable by any
nine,
metric.
nine zeros. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just like it's not. Majority of people won't see that billion, and so
Billion, yeah.
it's just something that you think about. You're just like, oh yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of zeros, but like
Yeah.
it's just unfathomable to like think about.
Yeah.
Just like, oh shit, that's a lot of money. But
It's a stupid amount of money. And
yeah.
if you think about it, it's the majority of people rarely have anything that requires the metric that needs to get to a billion. Like a billion socks or a billion ants. Like that's when we use that number. We never talk
Mm,
about it in terms of financial wealth, or rarely do we. And that's why it's so crazy because it's a number that how do you obtain that much money? And I think in 2020 is when we started thinking about how the wage gap, I guess, just for rich people versus like middle class and people below is just absurd. Like there should be some sort of balancing system. Not to say that the rich or people that have done extremely well for themselves should be punished to any degree, but it just seems like these people, once they hit that level, should do something to balance things out, right? Not just hoard it. And unfortunately, the only thing you can really think of is just taxes. Like they need to be taxed more, right?
yeah.
But it seems like once you hit a certain level of wealth, you tend to just have a lifestyle that gives you more wealth, right? Like
Yeah, I mean, it
the
has to do
system
with like a
starts
lot of
working for you.
like tax loopholes and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
or let me say legal
Yeah,
tax loopholes that they're able to use. It's just a lot of stuff that if you own a business, you're able to write off, and so
yeah,
it's a lot of things that you're just like, damn, like I didn't even think about that. Like we can talk about it a little bit later, but yeah, it's just that whole thing. And I don't know if I looked at this right, but it said it was 2019.
Oh, 2019, where the
Yeah.
divorce happened. Well,
Yeah.
maybe it's settled in 2020
Okay, we'll
or
go
something
with
of the
that.
sort.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
Fuck
but
it.
I believe yeah, could have been 29 anyway.
Yeah.
But
But speaking of bullshit, um, do you remember the Wayfair sex trafficking scandal?
Wayfair sex trafficking scandal. Which one was that? Refresh my memory. Might have blocked it out from the traumatic idea of remembering something like this.
The you remember where they were selling like $10,000 Wayfair home goods like cabinets and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, I remember. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
the thing where basically like people were somehow like the names were like equating to like
Like
people that were gone
lost
missing.
kids. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
something wild like that.
So
And was that ever proven to be true? Because I don't know. I heard about it, but I didn't know if there was any sort of like
yeah.
true, or was it one of those things that just went viral but was bullshit?
So I think it. I don't. I want to say it's like. I feel like it's not true, but it started
Hmm.
on Reddit and then it kind of like blew up. You know, people were saying that like, hey, you know, why is Wayfair selling these cabinets are like $10,000, and then you know
Yeah.
the names of the cabinets, stuff like that, are of children that have gone missing in the U.S. And
Hmm.
then so I guess you know some of the dimensions of the products, you know, and the
Hmm.
weights of them were kind of correlated to the children.
Yeah.
Very weird. Like it wasn't a description of the product, but of the children. So it all blew up.
Hmm.
And I remember there was a girl on Instagram. I don't remember what it was, but she had this whole like breakdown of like, hey,
Hmm.
this is true. You know, for instance, like there's a girl name or a product name like Samia 5, and so, you know, it's listed for $15,000.
That's wild.
But like it's she had said like, hey, like there was a girl named Samia missing in whatever 2018. She hasn't been found yet, and she, you know, she weighs 15, or not 15, but like 120
Hmm.
pounds, and this is what this product
The
weighs. Like
fact
it,
that like there was no government investigation or like investigation about this is insane. Where it seems like there was enough evidence to support this. Like no one,
yeah.
unless they dug into it and found it to be like entirely untrue, like it was just a coincidence or some sort of like sick joke in terms of a naming system.
Hmm.
I'm surprised there was no sort of like federal investigation. Like, yeah, why is this crate for $45,000 named Tadeu Njagu decapitated in box 2018? Like what?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
no one look into that?
I don't know. I think it was such an
Mm,
absurd um accusation that people were just like, oh, whatever. It's like I've never bought anything from Wayfair, so I don't know like what their prices are and stuff like that. But I
mm,
mean, you know, there are like I guess just there are paintings that are worth absurd amounts of
yeah.
money. You know, there are I don't know what other stuff that are worth absurd, like cars that are worth absurd amount of money. But
Mm,
like obviously they give you value in terms of um you know, like a car gives you a value of what it is, like what it makes you feel and how it performs and stuff like that. Art, it's more so of like
mhm,
a historical piece or whatever it is. But like cabinets, like you're just like, well, they just hold my clothes or
yeah.
whatever thing that they bought. Like all it does is it does its thing. Like there's no like I just for me I just don't understand why it would be worth that much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like it makes no sense that like no one investigated it when there was enough reason to at least look into it.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was a wild one. Like I had completely forgotten about that.
yeah.
And so what else about 2021? What about like let's actually talk about this with COVID. It's COVID related, but how COVID essentially completely eradicated the dating scene. Well,
Yeah.
the rise of pretty much dating apps. Like
Hmm.
dating apps probably became like the new norm versus traditional dating, where it did a complete flip. Where how before remember like Tinder, what's Tinder, Bumble, Match.com,
Yeah,
whatever ones you prefer, used to be like a very almost embarrassing way to say you met somebody.
yeah.
Now it's the norm. Like you're like,
Almost like
wait,
the
you
safe
went.
way to do it now.
Now it's like, wait, you met somebody at a
Like in
Barnes and Noble?
person.
What?
Yeah,
What? It wasn't even
yeah.
about the in person thing. It was about how you did. Now it's like
Hmm.
no one, because no one's contact, no one's basically interacting with people in that way now. Where it's, I went to the store and walked within 6 feet of somebody and said, "Hey." you're pretty, or hey, you're awesome, and would you like to hang out? Like that's frowned upon. It's irresponsible now, right? Because
Yeah.
of the whole social distancing protocol. So it completely eradicated the dating scene.
Yeah, for those that are new listeners, we do have an episode where we interview someone who is dating during this COVID time. I think it's called Love Lockdown. I can't remember what episode it is, but it's a guy who was dating during COVID, and it kind of explains like his situation, how he's dealing with it, and how it's different from normal, pre-COVID dating. But I want to shout out. There was a commercial. I'm not sure if you've seen it, Tito, on Match.com. And
The Ryan, what's the name? Ryan Reynolds one with the
yeah,
devil
it's
one. Yeah, I
perfect.
saw that one. It
It
was
is
hilarious.
perfect. Like I remember one of the comments was like, "Whoever made this needs to get it raised," and I really do believe that because I don't really normally praise commercials. I'm just like, whatever, it's commercial. But
Hmm.
these, for those who haven't looked it up, just go to YouTube, type in Match.com 2020 or something like that, and it's a commercial essentially with like the devil, and he's going on a date with a woman called 2020, and they're doing their whole thing, and at the end, I think the devil's like, I don't want this to end, and 2020 says, well, who would? And I thought it was just perfect marketing.
It was, man. That was a beautifully directed commercial. Like it's so
Yeah.
relevant. And the point I was just like, it was beyond hilarious. It's just like so the way Ryan Reynolds worked, and also like 2020 also was like we had like speaking of rise of things beyond COVID and COVID related deaths. Like it was a rise of comeback for certain actors, right? Like certain people's careers were damn near dead, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden it exploded in 2020.
Like who?
Seems like Ryan Reynolds was one of those people where he had kind of fallen like the most noticeable one is Keanu Reeves. We went from the guy from The Matrix to all hail Keanu.
Mm,
He
with
became
like
like a
with
cultural
Cyberpunk
icon.
and
Cyberpunk was this,
was
yeah,
John Wick this
yeah,
year too?
yeah. John Wick, did it come out this year? I don't know if it came out this year. It might have been December of John Wick. John Wick was like how it started, but like then he got into everything. He was also in that Ali Wong movie where he
Mm,
like played like a over the top outlandish celebrity.
mm,
Like he just was all over the place. And
yeah.
then you had the resurgence of Ryan Reynolds. I guess like this is kind of like a cheating one. Technically, he's been on the map for like since like 2019, but it just seems like he was everywhere in 2020 because that's when like those aviation gin commercials were out, and they were hilarious. By the way, I don't know if you've seen any of them. They're like his way of thinking is just beyond like it's beyond like genius. Just completely funny, but at the same time, it's like there's so much thought that goes into it. And
Uh,
then he had like these little like fake internet beef with Hugh Jackman. It started with him making fun of Hugh Jackman, how good looking Hugh Jackman is in like the
uh.
first Deadpool movie, where it ends with him taking out the mask. He's about to kiss his
Oh
girl,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yes, it's stapled to his face. And then after that, he just started making fun of Hugh Jackman, trying to get him into Deadpool 2,
Mm,
Deadpool whatever, and then just started this. Hugh Jackman would always poke fun at like he's gonna steal Blake Lively from him. It was a pretty funny thing.
like
Yeah,
like a little friendly banter and stuff like that.
exactly.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, his I now that you mention it, I don't
Mhm.
really know much of his like work outside of like Deadpool. Like I remember, was he in the Ted movie with that teddy bear,
Was he Ted? No, that was Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, like it's. I feel like he like Ryan Reynolds did more things outside of cinema. Like, doesn't he have his own company now, or not? Or
Yeah.
he's a spokesperson for a company, one
It,
of those two.
well, he directed the Match.com commercial, and then he had a gin company which he sold for like a stupid amount of money, and then aviation gin, and then
He
he
has
was just all over.
something. Yeah, there was something else,
He
but yeah, he like kind
yeah.
of. I don't know if this is like a planned thing, but maybe he pivoted outside of movies because he saw that like, hey, like these movies aren't going to come out, so let me do something else. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well, that's what most
he
celebrities do. That's how they make their real money. Like for example, George Clooney is a perfect example of that, where he had a tequila. He has a tequila company. I forgot what it's called, but he had a George. When's the last time you saw George Clooney in a movie? He hasn't been in movies for a very long time. But then he realized that okay, well, I can still use my influence as an actor, influence as an actor to make money. And he made his tequila. I think was it mezcal tequila? It was something. I forgot what it was
yeah,
called.
he has some type of liquor that
And he's he sold it, and now
Mm,
he sold it to like an airlines, and I think now George Clooney's well on his way to being a billionaire. And then he was doing
damn,
coffee
good for him.
commercials. But what was it? Those coffee commercials for like those? I don't even know. I don't drink coffee enough to really know coffee like that. But it was some pretty popular brand coffee. Forgot what it's called.
I don't
But
know.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he became like a spokesman for that. He's been all over the place, dude.
yeah, that's what's up. Shout out George Clooney, man. He's I don't really know much of his work as well. Like I'm not really much of a cinephile, but
Yeah,
cinephile for people that didn't hear that, CINE file. Um, yeah, but he like I feel like just I never really thought about that until you mentioned it. Like a lot of people just go outside of their work
hmm
of their or I guess their I don't want to say natural work, but like their main line of work and like
yeah,
find other ventures to kind of like increase their net worth, I guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of things. I mean, a lot of things changed. So, but yeah, man. What else? You got anything else?
No, I mean that's all the only ones I really wanted to touch upon. The toilet paper shitting and then the potential World War III with North Korea and the weird Wayfair sex trafficking.
I feel like this is gonna be a part one episode anyway. I mean, I feel like we covered a lot, but we didn't cover everything. So
Oh
I guess
yeah,
this will be part one of probably 17 parts of how shitty 2020 was.
yeah. We'll have to like put it in perspective, I guess. I think like you had mentioned this before. I think it was better to have it up and like have the review um after the year ended, because shit could happen on December 31st.
Exactly, shit literally could have happened.
Yeah,
So yeah, this is definitely be the first part of a many part series. So we'll definitely
yeah,
get back at it for you guys.
yeah. Um, Speaking of shit that just happened, I guess you had mentioned that we wanted to talk about um the siege of the Capitol that happened
Oh
yesterday.
yeah, the siege of the Capitol. Yeah.
Yeah,
So eesh, like it just seems. First thing I want to say about that was I never thought something like that would actually happen. It seems like the plot of a Call of Duty game mixed with an episode of House of Cards, where people storm into the Capitol building with machine guns and are
yeah,
basically trying to forcibly overturn an election. I
yeah.
think, yeah,
You had mentioned that like you never thought that storming into a building of that nature would be easy,
it would be
and
easy. Yeah,
yeah,
because it's we've always thought like the White House and some of these buildings that are iconic that they have like these very
snipers everywhere, like just
everywhere. Like red
watching it
dots would
twenty
be
four
on you.
seven.
Like
Yeah,
I thought a red dot would be on your chest before you even got the
like you
idea out
step
of
like
your head.
one, yeah, you step like one step ahead, like you're just like, oh damn, like there's already a red dot on me. Yeah, but like the weird part was that we had mentioned before off the air that like there are different angles of how this was portrayed, I guess, in
Yeah,
terms
there.
of like how
Yeah,
they got in.
the thing about this is that during like the Black Lives Matter marches, it was those marches were depicted by the media and also our unfortunate still current president that the people that are doing these things, looting, rioting, essentially frustrated and fighting for basic human rights, were looters and were thugs, were all basically use all these terminology, terrorists, whatever you want to say, and you basically were condemned for their actions. Fast forward now, the only thing that's changed about the actions were the skin color of the people that did it, and all the president had to say was, and a lot of his supporters were that, oh, you guys need to go home, and don't act like the liberals. They still found a way to flip it, saying, oh, you guys are messing up now, but we understand why, because we still don't condone it. So it's almost like a pat on the back, but at the same time, still saying, don't go this far because it's going to make us look bad.
Mm.
And to me, this goes to show that this country has a long way to go. We may not be as bad as like in terms of face value as seemingly as bad as other countries. Like we make fun of Russia. This shit happens in Russia. Like we talk about how Putin, how corrupt some countries are. We're doing the same stuff. We just kind of like sweep our stuff under the rug, and it's embarrassing to be honest. Where it's like, how can you like that embarrassing in the sense of like I really don't consider myself a very patriotic person, but when you like embarrassing in the sense of like you almost have to sit there and pretend like this is like pretend like things are going to get better to maintain your sanity. And the fact that this is the way that things are going in this country right now, it's pretty scary. Yet, you don't know if your next door neighbor supports the stuff that happens. You don't know if your person that basically the only thing that is keeping you from being part of this is the fact that you just don't live there specifically. But it just seems like we have a long way to go until things are truly, truly better than 2020. Right now, it just seems like, yeah, we're celebrating the beginning of the new year, but what has really changed?
Yeah, it's a very difficult time for everyone. The way that this year had started. We kind of wanted to put 2020 in the past, or in the back
Mm-hmm.
burner, or not back burner, but in the past. And stuff like what happened a few days ago is just unfortunately a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
And
it's a massive step in the wrong direction, and it's going to have severe consequences because I mean, once people get to the point where they lose entire trust in a governmental system, you're going to see this stuff happen more and more often because I'm sure there's
yeah,
someone that saw that yesterday, and probably gave birth to the idea of people doing it again. You think this is just going to be the last time it happens? Nope. The
no,
fact that they were
yeah,
basically successful, like as far as I'm concerned, that was a successful attack
hmm,
because you've shown that at the end of the day it's possible, and you're probably gonna get some people that are gonna try it now. Well,
yeah,
more and more try it. Just be like, okay, well, they just didn't do it the right way, but we can do it the right way. We just need to do X, Y, and Z. So that's the part that's very scary about the whole thing that transpired. But man, we have much more to talk about on this, and we'll probably have to say this for another episode. But
yeah,
all
definitely.
I'm saying is, I just definitely condemn the actions of anyone and everyone else involved in that stuff, and
Yeah, I
that's not the way
think
to go.
I think
This is not the way to go.
universally, or not universally, but I think for the majority of people that were watching, I think whether no matter where you stood on like a political spectrum, I think they realized that like this is not um, a patriotic thing. I'm not sure what the word I'm trying to use, but it's everyone condemned it for the most part. They're just like, hey, like this is not something that we do. Like you're messing up um, our capital, our state's capital, and stuff like that. But
The scary part is that I don't. I tend to disagree. I honestly
mm,
think that the scary part is that it wasn't condemned enough. Like you have some people that,
mm,
from what I've seen on social media, actually may not say this was right, but they're trying to explain it and justify it. And explaining and
mm,
justifying something that is entirely bad. It's like trying to explain, Hitler's actions. You're essentially agreeing with them by doing something. When something is so heinous and something is so bad, there's no explanation other than this is terrible. Condemn that shit. But when
mm,
people try to give explanation to something like that, you're part of the problem. You may not be the direct catalyst to the problem, but you're actually fueling the problem.
mm,
So you may not be throwing the gasoline on that fire, but if you're the one smoking a cigarette in the background, hey, all you have to do is flick that thing, and you're going to be just equally as guilty. And I think that's
mm,
what people are doing right now. It's what on social media and stuff like that, trying to be able to justify. Well, these people are frustrated. That's why they did that. Is it right or is it wrong? It was wrong, but no, there's no but. And
mm.
that's the problem that I have with it. And that's the problem that's actually scary because it's at the point where's the line now? Where's the line? A civil war? Is that the line? We all fuck each other up, and then whoever's standing last, you know, becomes, rules the country. Like, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna live by fucking what Super Smash Brother rules? Everyone get in the ring, choose your weapon, last one standing, fucking what? Choose your fighter. Like, what, that's how it's gonna be? I don't know, man. But I
Yeah.
do know that I am fucking terrified. For the first time in my life, I am fucking terrified. Not scared in terms of walking out the door, think I'm gonna get shot, but I do think we're now living in a world where my general safety personally, I actually fear for it in the sense of like I
Mm,
feel like one day I could be good, the next day you hear something happened, and
yeah.
that's the part that's scary. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Not to dwell too much more on this, but yeah, I
yeah,
kind of agree with the sentiment that like for the first time in the years that I've lived, like I don't think I've ever like when 9/11 happened, I was too young to comprehend like what was happening, but now that
mm-hmm.
I'm old enough to realize and comprehend like what's going on, I'm just like, "Oh shit, this is something to really really worry about, you know?"
Yeah.
And
I think
so,
it's when you get older, you're old enough to understand you have something to lose. Like let's
yeah.
say, for example, like for me, I fear for my mother and my brother. Potentially something happened bad to them. For you, it
Mhm.
could be your wife. maybe if you guys have kids in the future, it could be your kid growing up in this kind of world.
And
So
my son Levi too.
yeah, oh yeah, your son Levi.
Yeah.
And by the way, Levi is he's a dog that's also an adopted member of the Survey Corps.
Yes. That's my son.
Yeah,
So shout out to my son Levi. I hope you listen to this.
for your Attack on Titan weebs, Levi is going to be in the final episode of Attack on Titan, and he's going to be the savior of Paradise Island. Just to say.
But yeah, man. Like I said, hopefully, that wasn't too Debbie Downer for everyone that's listening. If you are still listening past this, then thank you for coming and support us. Yeah, if you like this podcast, we'll be back regularly now with a weekly schedule now that the holidays are over. So you'll be hearing a lot more of this, that, and all that bullshit in between. So smash that like button so you can make sure you follow up to date with us. Follow us on our social media platforms. Instagram is Puzzle Minds Podcast. Twitter is Puzzle Minds Pod. And we do have a YouTube channel, but we just kind of put the episodes up on there. So definitely subscribe so we can kind of build that big boy up. And last but not least, thank you, as always, Official Block of the Week for the weekly episode cover artworks. Other than that, everyone stay puzzled.
Peace.